My name is Dulcie Zilk. I live in the Ridings at 20168 Long Meadow Lane. I'm an attorney, New Jersey attorney, but I usually go on the state level. I usually deal with the federal law. I am listening here, and you must understand, we only got maybe 2 or 3 months notice about this application. And when we went up to look, we found the federal agencies are funded by the solar companies. One, especially NIH, came out, nothing bad about this. And they were funded $50 million. So you must understand, I have a tough time supporting. I had to go to Europe to get any interesting, good information. Firstly, I want to say that $7K that they offered was turned down by our board. And what was really interesting, their feet, like, we're 80 feet or whatever. The law or the legislation says it's 200 feet from a dwelling. So in the most part, the reservoir, our 100 feet is maybe 20 ridings, and the rest is their backyard, where they have jungle gyms, swimming pools, etc. I wanted to make that very clear, because they're talking, I'm giving you a buffer, but they're required to do the 200, and they're using our property to fill the 200. First off. Then I don't see any money set aside for disposal. It should be in the millions and millions of dollars. This stuff is tough to dispose. Also, cadmium is in the wiring. Maybe not in the cell itself, but the wiring. And I'd like to find out who supplies Malaysia with this advanced technology of solar, but who knows? Okay, this also, if you look, only thing they want is to maximize electricity. As I said in my letter, September 20th, we're not talking solar farm. We're talking an electricity manufacturing plant. And through my discussions with some people in our development, one man says they waste, as soon as they don't need to fulfill their customer requirement, they just waste the electricity. It just goes out. So you're adding to it. Also, my little bit with Delmarva Power, but shall not go into that. Delmarva Power has put some sort of moratorium, I believe, in any new solar on the roof. Now, I'm not against solar if it's done reasonably. I had solar before photovoltaic cells in 1980, right before law school, 81. I'm not against it. I have it in my roof. It is put away. It's away from people. But you must understand there's serious problems. Okay? I wanted to get to his point, so give me a second. So the buffer includes our land. The panels maximize electric production, as you hear. Disposal, I don't know. I would say $20, $30 million, because you could trust this company will go thumbs up. Okay? Okay. No measurable impact on the house property. I've talked to New Jersey, the Realtor Association for the state, and they were incensed. They told me we have no solar farms or solar arrangements, whatever you want to call it, near a residential development. As it is, their property value has gone down 5.6%. And in my letter of the 20th, September 20th, I quote EchoWatch. Could you imagine what our houses are going to be like? This is going through our development. I mean, we're into 20, 30% loss on our property value. And we're talking human life. I looked at it, and I went searching for something that isn't funded by the solar companies. And I had to go to Europe. And I focused on magnetic fields. Why am I focusing on magnetic fields? Because I have contradictory information, okay? I even went to my ex-husband. I said, what about magnetic fields? He said, there's no problem. And then he asked, where do you live near it? I said, about half a mile away. She goes, oh my God, thank God. And I couldn't figure out why he said that. And so I met him 2 weeks later at a birthday party, and he couldn't sell his condo. And see, in the condo in New Jersey, that was up on the market for 2.5, 3 years, the wiring came through his basement into his panel. And the buyers went with meters to read it. And he lost all these buyers. Don't ask me why. They had a bunch of homes hooked up to his box. But we're only going to have 4,000 panels. Not to worry. Here we go again. So I talked about that, and now I'm going to go over something. The people that we're talking, they're mixing up electric fields with magnetic fields. Electric fields, they can put trees up. They can do everything, and it will hamper the electric fields that are coming out. But magnetic fields go right through it. Problem is, it also goes through your skin. I don't know what 4,000 cells, what kind of magnetic fields are going to be in that, but it's a lot. They can't be buried. They can't be coated. It's a mess. I went through this, and I went through a biological-based research, and the current study, the study I could get in 2012, was about in-house magnetic fields. They are just getting to the solar farms. It's real risky, and I really don't care for taking a risk. Okay? They argued that the current standard is way too high. It should be much lower. And in their small houses, and microwaves and all the rest, they had a listing of types of cancer and all the other problems with magnetic fields. I gave you notice that this is a problem, plus the flooding. As I was saying, they produce electricity, Delmarva power. Whatever they don't use, it goes away. They just put it into the environment. I was taught that by Jerry. Jerry is, we submitted his information about solar farms, and he really told me that it's going to have batteries. Grow up, it's going to have batteries. I argued in my paper, I believe I submitted this to at least some of the people. No, I dropped it off with the petition, that the batteries are definitely relevant. It's that they want to maximize the production of electricity, and they got to have a place to store it. And no matter what they say, they have to store it. And he has real problems with his solar farm. I hate repeating it, but lithium batteries, lithium-ion technologies are getting better. Okay, here it is. All lithium batteries dependent on chemistry use organic electrolytes, which is a mixture of carbonates, which tend similar burning characteristics as kerosene. Okay? He's a little upset, you guys, putting in kerosene, kerosene as part of the batteries. But they will definitely amend it, and I believe it's relevant here. They have no other option. You look at this, and what do you see? Well, I didn't see it that closely myself. I know our people on Reservoir sees it with flooding. They have problems. As I told Mr. Schaefer, that I don't know about the trees that they didn't plant or took down. They couldn't meet this flooding problem. We submitted, at least Miss Danny and Lisa Wilson submitted. They're from Steeplechase in the other HOA, the Iron Horse HOA. And the flooding was so bad it made the front cover of the Gazette. DENRAC saw it. They couldn't believe it. They're out. I don't have the person there, but she gave the name of the person. The homes violate the architectural style of a residence. Drainage and runoff. Now, I couldn't believe it. What was it? I think it was, they had to, in their dollar, they had, I think, 50 million gallons of water they had to pump out. And I believe residents of Reservoir had a lot of that water, too. I can't prove it. Whether they have a few trees or not, it's not a solution. Also, she questions, which I didn't, 17 acres they have to put things on. And they're limiting it to 6 acres, or 7, I remember exactly. I really wonder why. Are they going to come back for an amendment to fill in the other 17, I wonder? I think so. This is a money-making proposition, and I'm a little upset about the whole thing. But she was interesting. I think it was 50 million gallons she paid for. Where is it? Somewhere, but we submitted it. She faxed it to you or emailed it to you yesterday. In 2009, due to back-to-back northeasters and heavy snowfall, the property became so flooded, a boat was necessary to leave the development and access Beaver Dam Road. Many people remember it as the picture of Community Entrance Gate hit the front page of the Cape Gazette. I still have a copy if they'd like to see it. And DENREC was out, and the Envirotech measured 2 feet above water that completely covered electrical transformers, an integral part of this project. Okay, let me see what other things. Oh, we've turned down. Oh, ambient temperature. They say ambient temperature. I don't remember the study, quite frankly. I didn't write it down. It'll get warmer in the summer and colder in the winter. So maybe they're going to give us 10% break if we qualify. But I don't know how many are going to be qualified. That is a huge difference in ambient temperature. So I'm saying right now, they're going to be ready for an amendment to add batteries. They'll probably add more solar panels. You have to think it's relevant. It may not be relevant to this application, which I'm sure I'll get all sorts of objections to, but it's going to happen. So you have to be responsible for our health and welfare and our property value. You are the last line of defense. Please think if your property was there, think about the poor people all around. And I don't think a half mile is good enough. The WHO said 1.2 miles, and we have the references that my husband made. So they may not like what we had to say, but just think about a business, and the only thing they're worried about is the max production of electricity and the batteries to store it. Okay, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you listening. And yes, I went around to get the signatures, walked around my little jog outfit. I lost a couple of pounds. And I found, well, for the most part, some people are deaf, they don't answer. But most part, I would say only about 5% of the people there were for it. And that's counting, just one person or the other, or they didn't read enough, or they're afraid to sign a petition. Okay, thank you very much again.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Anyone else in opposition? Seeing none, operator, can you check to see if there is anyone listening remotely that would like to opine?
If anyone has joined via the conference line and would like to speak on this matter, dial 5*. If anyone has joined via the conference line and would like to speak on this matter, dial 5*. At this time, there is no one who wishes to speak.
Thank you, operator. It's my understanding there is one gentleman that would like to speak in opposition. He just raised his hand. You're slow on the take.
Yeah, I know. My name is Rich Silg. I live at 2016 Long Meadow Lane in the Ridings. And a couple of things I wanted to bring up. We've talked about both here and in correspondence how the council has approved some of these solar farms, okay, with residents around them and bordering developments. Okay, I have asked the applicant on at least 2 occasions to provide me some information, provide us information about the density of the population surrounding these solar farms. We have I've estimated there's over 1,000 homes within a mile or so of this. And so far, he has not shown anything that has come anything close to that type of density. When I looked at the 13 solar farms that the council has approved, none of them were surrounded by residential areas like a horseshoe, the way the Ridings is. This area that's being proposed is only for 7 acres. Looking at the ones that you've approved to date, they all seem to be at least 20 acres. Okay. I looked at the websites for some of the solar companies who are promoting leases for community solar, and the average is a minimum, not the average, a minimum was 10 acres that I found. Okay. One company, Sunshare Community Solar, is 30 to 40 acres. Coldwell Solar is 30 acres. Pivot Energy is 10 to 20 acres. The New York State government recommends a minimum of 10 acres, and Cornell University recommends a minimum of 10 to 30 acres. This seems to indicate that there's an industry standard of a minimum of 10 acres for a community solar farm, and this application does not seem to meet that standard. The applicant presented a study talking about how there was no real effect on home prices surrounding the solar farms. And I forget the name of the company that did the study, but they contacted tax assessors. So I took a different approach, thinking that the real estate agents would have a better price, better opinion of that, what that difference might be. So I contacted 4 or 5 local realtors in the Lewis area, and I believe all of them have had sales listings in the Ridings. And the consensus I got back from them is that this whole concept of the community solar farm is so new, and being close to residential areas, they don't have experience. But the consensus was it would have a negative effect, a negative effect, especially on the homes that are immediately contiguous to it, like the ones on Reservoir. And in closing, I'd just like to say that I don't think the council should be exposing the residents of the Ridings and others to potential financial and physical harm. And it should not be approved. And just because something can be done doesn't mean that it should. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. President, we can close the public hearing on this matter. If council desires, close public record.
We'll close public hearing. It's okay with council, close public record. Ask Mr. Morby the short title.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. An ordinance grant a conditional use of land in an AR1 agricultural residential district for a solar farm to be located on a certain parcel of land lying and being in Indian River 100, Sussex County, containing 15.97 acres more or less, for reasons 1 through 10 given by planning and zoning, with conditions 11A through K.
Pleasure of council.
Motion for denial.
Okay. We have a motion to deny. We're supposed to make our motions in a positive effect and then vote it down.
That's correct. That's been our policy, to have all motions made in the positive.
Correct. Pleasure of council again. Hearing no motion,
Motion
we
to
will.
approve.
Oh,
There
okay.
was a motion
Have a
to
motion now
approve.
to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
That's in seconds. We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that motion? We'll take the vote. Mr. Riley.
Well, it's in the 5th district. I had intended to ask for a deferral. But if we are compelled to vote.
I mean, do you think, does everybody need time to study what we've heard today? That's a question.
We have heard a lot of information.
Okay. Is everybody comfortable with deferring?
I'll withdraw my motion.
You withdraw your second?
I would, yes, I'll withdraw that, yeah.
Okay, we have withdrawn second, we've withdrawn motion. You got a motion now to defer?
Motion to defer.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Motion, Mr. Riley, second, Mr. Hudson, to defer on conditional use 2379. Questions on the motion? Take the vote, Mr. Riley.
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
I have a yes, motion carried. Thank you, everybody. Next.
The next